family, you're tuning in to the Jimmy Bonds podcast on Illadelphia Radio. Pardon any technical difficulties as we're recording live on the Zoom platform. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Yeah. Jimmy! Lights, camera, action. Some people thought I quit and I ain't giving satisfaction. From a different era, writing rhymes up on napkins. What you had to say was more important, man, than traffic. Yeah, I'm talking back. What's good, family, and welcome to another episode of Jimmy Bonds Podcast on Illadelphia Radio. This episode is sponsored by Major Flavor Catering. I'm your host, Jimmy Bonds, along with my co-host, Ty. T.Y. What's good, Ty? How you feeling?
JB, how you doing, family?
Sounds all good in the neighborhood. And of course, I can't forget my other co-host, lovely Miss T with the T. T is not here with us today, but she's always here with us in spirit. Remember, family, you can call us with your comments or questions at 844-844-1244. Again, that's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. That's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Jimmy Bonds Podcast, on Twitter at Podcast Bonds, or you can join the Jimmy Bonds Podcast Facebook group. Make sure you join the Facebook group. We continue to open a dialogue. We're moving right along, family. Tonight, we have a special guest. We have two special guests, actually, who are actually co-founders of the Simple Self Defense for Women, trademark registered. They are a husband and wife who have started this organization. And after doing some research on the family, I was pretty taken away by it. So I just want to give you some of their accolades, some of the things they've done. Miss Tracy and Mr. Charles Vega are known as the Sonny and Cher of Self Defense. The organization, Simple Self Defense for Women, trademark registered, has been featured in many outlets such as PBS, Huffington Post, Women's Health, We Magazine, NBC affiliates, Fox 35 Orlando, and just to name a few. Miss Tracy is actually a personal safety expert. She's a national contributor. She's a speaker, a columnist. She actually does workplace safety. She's a workplace safety expert, And she's also a certified associate project manager. She's also the recipient of the 3rd annual Power Women of the Year award by Power Women magazine. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Mr. and Mrs. Charles and Tracy Vega. Give it up for them. All right. How y'all doing over there tonight, man?
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Great intro, Jimmy.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad you guys joined us. You know, anybody that comes on the show, we always want to give them their accolades, what they've accomplished. But you guys kind of just, just blew us away from it. I know you guys have been on many media outlets and, you've done many workshops within your organization. But I wanted to find out, share with us a little bit about the organization and share with us just, how the organization got started.
Yeah, it's just a great, fun story that we love to tell, actually. Charlie is a master instructor in combat Hapkido, so he's been doing that over 30 years. And he was doing a kind of an instructional video that was really great as far as instruction goes, but it was kind of a typical martial arts-like video. And I said, honey, if you want to get women interested, we're going to have to, spruce this up a little bit, make it a little more about women. So I said, you're going to have to learn a few things about what women want, and I'll let him tell you how the rest of that goes. Because
Jimmy. So she says, if you want to do a program for self-defense of women, she said, you're going to have to know a couple of things about women first.
Yes, so, for sure.
They don't have time to go to class after class. Just show them something, how to get away. She said they've got family, to work with. They don't want to be thrown around. Women don't like to take their shoes off in general. She says we have to do a program that's going to be a one-time event and they learn something. So what we basically said was, you don't always have to be in a martial arts class to learn how to fight. So what we do is we teach how to get away versus fight. Yeah. So I can teach you, or Tracy and I can teach you within 2 hours in our program how to get away, how to avoid first, and then how to get away. If you want to learn how to be a good fighter, go to a martial arts school for 2 or 3 years, and by then you should be a pretty good fighter, but there's still no guarantees, right?
Right.
But in this case here, what we're doing is simple techniques on how to avoid, and simple techniques if someone tries to grab you, choke you, punch you. How do you get away from somebody who's much stronger? Yeah. That's the focus.
And I mean, in this day and age, Mr. and Mrs. Vega, I think this is a very important aspect of people's lives. COVID is kind of taking people, to extremes. I find it very important that people know how to defend themselves, particularly with just like the height of crime and that kind of thing going on. I like to focus on the negative, but, I'm a realist. So that's really what, a lot of things are going on with that. But so do this for me, hypothetically, walk me through just a bit of a day of a workshop, if you can.
I want to address just the point that you made first with COVID, because one of the things that people don't realize is when somebody in your family is sick or you're sick, the stress that it puts on that individual, where somebody who's normally a very calm and, a nice person will all of a sudden become very uptight and emotional because they're frustrated or they don't know what's going on. So when you're going into people's homes, or you've got people coming into your home to help with healthcare or whatever, you have to know how to protect yourself in case something comes up. So being a COVID situation. So coming to a workshop, what we do is we go to where people are comfortable. And I say people because when we started, it was just for women. But as the program grew, we started to involve the LGBTQ community because they're bullied quite often.
Yes.
And older people. So even though it's branded for women, it really is pretty much for everybody. We're teaching you something that you can take with you and teach to someone else. So we go to where people are comfortable learning. A lot of times the programs are sponsored. One of our favorite sponsors is by a PD that we worked with, the police department, that actually paid for the workshops with confiscated drug funds.
That's awesome.
So they brought us in with the bad guy's money to teach people how to get away from the bad guy.
Yeah.
And in return, we would take, we started doing something to give back to the community. We thought, okay, if the community or somebody's hosting this, we started making them where, if it was Domestic Violence Month, where they would bring in supplies that would go directly to people of domestic violence, or at Christmas time, stuff specifically for the holidays or for food and so forth, for pets. So we try to make it about the community for the community.
Yeah.
And then they come in to wherever it happens to be, and it's 2 hours and it's interactive. And I actually right now I'm walking around with a walking boot because I broke my foot last week, which would, as I was thinking, would not stop us from participating in the program, because we've had folks that are legally blind, people who are expectant, people up to 90 years old, children, people with broken bones, people in wheelchairs. Everybody can participate because you can do it sitting, standing, or on the ground. And we make it interactive and we make it fun. So people get up and participate and learn how to prevent, avoid, and escape.
That is amazing. That is welcoming. That's what people need. I think I know I saw somewhere. I think your program helps people from 9 to 91, and that is a very large demographic of people. But everybody needs self-defense. Everybody needs to know how to defend themselves in situations. And I'm not talking about fighting like I saw on your site. It's not about learning how to fight. It's about finding ways just how to get out of attacks. And I left
the most important thing out.
What's that?
We make it fun.
Yeah, I hear.
It said the Sonny and Cher of Self Defense. We make it fun. People are laughing while they're learning.
Yes, and I think that's so much. That's very important. Just even looking at you guys' presence online, it was more smiles than it was like fear. And I thought that was very important, because people were so fearful these days with so many aspects. And learning how to defend yourself is a serious topic. It's a serious aspect of life, but you got to have fun with it. You really got to have fun with it.
Well, part of the reason we found was not only is it fun for us to do it, but when people have a good time, they will remember.
Yeah.
So some of the things that we do, I'll say on purpose, are silly, but they're not going to remember our name next month, but they're going to remember that silly move that we did probably for the rest of their life. And that's the whole purpose of it, is we did something that they're going to remember and laugh about, but they're learning it, versus just like you're saying, it's a serious topic, but if we can make it fun, we really believe and have proven that they'll remember this a long time. We walk into a supermarket and people will go, "Hey, grab my hand. I don't remember them, right? But they remember us, right? So I can get out of this, kind of thing. So they do it with a smile, and that's what it's all about, is they remembered the move. They don't remember our names, but they remembered the move because it was fun.
Yeah, then that's what it's all about. It's really about having fun with it. and helping people enjoy themselves in the process of it. So I don't want to, I don't want to take the whole mic, man. I know you got some questions over there, Ty.
Mrs. Tracy and Mr. Shirley, how are you doing? First of all,
good.
We're doing great.
Good.
Question is, do you have actual victims that come to your workshops that you help out?
So the answer to the question is yes, most definitely. We've had people who are victims of assault, of domestic violence, of attacks, of attempted attacks. So yes, that's a very common theme, and it's unfortunate that people come because they don't want it to happen again, or they want to prevent it from happening and teaching somebody else. The pandemic has put a halt on it, but fortunately, we have a lot of our videos on our website, simpleselfdefenseforwomen.com, that are in short snippets where people can go on and look and learn at home and do it with somebody else to make it fun, to practice. So even though we may not be there in person right this second, which we will be as soon as we get out there again, people can still go on and learn, or they can buy our TV show from us and go through it and learn it.
What started it all? Like, what was the one thing that started?
Well, I will say, you watch TV all the time, and a lot of times the news, unfortunately, is all bad. And there was a situation in Florida, it's got to be about 20 years ago now, I guess, maybe 15. A young girl by the name of Carly Bruce, she was walking through a car wash, and the person grabbed her, and she was later killed, unfortunately. And one of the things that I said to my wife was, you don't always have to fight. There are ways to get away from someone grabbing you like that. And that's when she said, well, if we're going to do something about this, Charlie, you're going to have to learn a couple of things about women. So that timing there was that. But that's really how it got started, was we decided to do something about it because there is an alternative that most people don't know about. And part of the program, when we talk about the program at every workshop, what we do is we say, we're teaching you tonight. Your workshop was paid for by a company, a college, or a police department. What we ask you to do, you came here for free. Please teach someone else and pay it forward. Because if every one of you just taught one person and they taught one person, we can make a difference and an impact.
Yeah, definitely. I saw that too, that you guys really, it's important that even if, everybody can't come, it's important to take it home, teach your family, teach your kids, just how to defend themselves. And, Mrs. Vega talked about the LGBT community. And, I've noticed a lot of them are definitely bullied. A lot of them are assaulted. A lot of them, unfortunately, have been murdered. And, that's a demographic of people. Sometimes they're forgotten for some reason for self-defense. And I just, I really appreciated you guys just making sure that was an initiative that you took, and making sure that they learn some things, take it back to their community and just share the wealth, as I say, just make sure everybody is well aware of what's going on.
Everybody is a person, and everybody deserves a chance to learn. And there are, people are people. The LGBT community is near and dear to our hearts. But people need to be respected. I mean, a lot of people are bullied not only in person, people are bullied online because people like to hide behind the keyboard. And during a pandemic, like now, if you would never walk up to somebody in person and go, man, I hate your hair, or that tattoo sucks, what are you doing? But people will get online and get on a keyboard and hide behind it. Next thing you know, there's 10,000 people bullying the crap out of somebody. So sometimes you have to know what to do to stop some of the stuff and to shut it down and let people know that there are other alternatives. So we're not just doing what's physical. We talk about online protection. We talk about at-home protection. We talk about, active shooter. We talk about when you travel. It's unfortunately, this is a topic for us that goes on and on, because for every situation, there is something that you should know. Yeah. Travel topics, I mean, all of it. It just keeps going and going.
I mean, that I know you're an expert in workplace, security and workplace safety. I mean, that active shooter thing, we see them on the news every day. People don't even realize it's too many. And I mean, it happens so frequently that you see a news story about it and you forget about it the next day because it's a frequent occurrence, and I have to just say, what you guys are doing is very important. It's very vital. I'm inspired by, me and my wife are, always thinking about ways to protect our kids and ways to protect us out here. Philly's not that safe all the time, but you know what I mean? But it's
well, can I tell you something really important about
sure.
about active shooter safety?
Sure.
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's not a comfortable situation, but you have to remember that when you walk into a supermarket, a school, a movie theater, a mall, a restaurant, that there's always another entrance and there's always another exit.
Yes.
You have to not, people are creatures of habit. They always go in the same door. They go to the same teller station. They go to the same parking space. They walk into the same, the same door. You have to start looking around for alternatives. You have to look at people to see what's different about the person. Are there two matching people? Are there something that looks out of character? And unfortunately, sometimes you have to make that judgment call in your mind and go, I'm not comfortable with this situation. Something doesn't look right. And I'll just give you an example of my husband and I were out on a beach, and there was a vacant building, not vacant because it was, I'm sorry, not because it was empty or derelict, not a derelict building. It was just finished construction, and it was a holiday weekend. And I happened to look up on the building, and there was a man up on the building with his hat on backwards. And I'm thinking, this is wrong. This is way wrong. Why is there a man up on a building with his hat on backwards looking like, and they actually happened to pick up a person in the other part of the state that same day on top of a building with a gun. It was a holiday weekend.
Wow.
So people are looking for soft targets. If you're not paying attention and not aware of your surroundings, that's why I say you have to be comfortable with being a little uncomfortable and looking at alternative exits and entrances and knowing what to do if you're faced with that kind of situation.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And there are steps you should know in an active shooter situation that you need to take. And unfortunately, it has to be done very quickly in order for it to be successful. Tracy, do you want to cover that?
I was going to say, give us a few steps.
Do you want me to run through it real quick?
Give us a few steps. Yes, please.
Sure, absolutely. The first thing is you have to let everybody know that there's an active shooter. You have to scream it out and just very quickly let people know. The second thing you have to do is, depending on where you are, if you're in a building, movie theater, whatever, you have to hide out to get out of the shooter's way. Next thing you need to do is you need to take cover or make cover. So basically, you can either hide behind something or you can get behind something that would deflect a bullet. So sometimes you just have to be hidden. Other times you have to be able to deflect. And I'm giving you the quicker version. If all of that is not going to work, you try to escape. You try to take somebody with you. They don't want to go. You have to leave that person behind. Remember that officers coming into a building or rescue personnel coming into a building are not going to stop to help you. They're going to neutralize the situation first, take care of the active shooter, make sure the situation is secure. Then they'll come back and render aid. As you're leaving the building, if you can't get out and the only other option is dying, you have to look at how can I take out the active shooter, because that may be the last scenario. So it's shout out, hide out, cover, get out.
And the other thing to that is, if you see a police officer, don't run towards the police officer. They do not know who you are.
Yeah.
They might think you're the bad guy. Yeah. If you have something in your hand, you may get shot. You have to have your hands up and open and empty.
You have a person with a concealed weapon who may be an off-duty officer, could be somebody on scene that just happens to be a concealed weapons person. If you're running towards an officer, anybody, male, female, black, white, doesn't matter, dog, cat, if you have a gun in your hand, it's not going to end well. So you have to listen to their commands with your hands up and out of your pocket, and everybody follow their direction and don't run at them.
Well, listen, I know my audience is definitely appreciative of all the steps to take during the active shooter. Family, this was something that I wasn't even expecting, and I'm glad that you guys even brought it up, because like I said, in today's day and age, these are things that we have to know just in terms of everyday life. I mean, we just have to know these things. So, I know I'm appreciative of it, Tyus, too. We just, it's one of those things, man. Like I said, what did you say, Mrs. Vega? Get used to being uncomfortable. You know what I mean? And
get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I mean, this is the day and age we live in, family. This is how we have to live. But I think, like you said, knowing your surroundings, knowing where you are, knowing what's going on. If something doesn't look right, it doesn't look right. And Time and time again, we've seen stories where people are just sitting at dinner eating and active shooters. So, family, we have to make sure we stay abreast to these things, and we have to make sure we stay knowledgeable of them. But on the other side, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to get into what Mr. and Mrs. Vega, their past, what they've done in their professional careers besides the organization. But family, right now, you're listening to Jimmy Bond's podcast on Illadelphia Radio. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Michael from Abu Dhabi. Listen to Jimmy Bond's podcast on Illadelphia Radio.
Welcome back to the Jimmy Bond's podcast on Illadelphia Radio. We thank you for listening. Remember, family, you can call us at 844-844-1244. Again, it's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. That's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. And welcome back to Jimmy Bond's podcast on Illadelphia Radio. Remember, family, you can call us with your comments or questions at 844-844-1244. Again, it's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. It's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. Again, family, we are joined tonight by two of the co-founders of the Simple Self-Defense for Women registered trademark, family, Mr. and Mrs. Charles and Tracy Vega. They are giving us the insight. They're giving us the steps. They're giving us the ways to protect ourselves out here right now in these days. I can't tell you how happy I am to have them on here, and they're just really sharing so much about their story and how they got the organization started and the type of things they were doing in the organization. And I'm just happy to say that, during these times, people, these are things that we need to know. I think these are things we don't think about. We just go about our lives. We keep our hands in our phones, and we're just scrolling all darn day. But I think it's something that this is important that we cover. But on this segment, I wanted to kind of just give a little bit of a history of the two of them. Mr. Charles Vega, I know he's a lawyer down in Florida, but I've read so much about how you became a lawyer and what you had to do to become a lawyer. And I wanted to know if you could share a little bit about that story, because a lot of people don't realize to the degree that people make sacrifices to get what they want. And I always strive to tell people, stay up, don't sleep in your dreams. But I think that this, what you went through, Mr. Vega, is astounding. It's actually, it's not heard of a lot of times. But if you really, really want something in life, family, you have to hear Mr. Vega tell the story. Mr. Vega, can you share that with us, just a little bit about what happened, how you became a lawyer?
Well, I will say that it was something on the back of my mind that I wanted to do for years. But because I traveled for the job that I was with, going back to school, particularly when law school, which is extremely difficult, it didn't happen. And then basically one day I just said, if I'm going to do it, I need to do it now. And you really have to, I'll say, take that step and go, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how long it's going to take me to do it. And I'm going to go do it. So for me, the first thing obviously you have to do is, if you're going to go to law school or medical school, or sometimes you have to pass in law school, it's called a law school admissions test. And then you have to apply to law schools. So if you get accepted, I think that's number one, the hard part, to get accepted, right?
Right.
I was lucky enough to get accepted, but the school was 90 miles away each way.
Yeah.
So I was working during the day and I went to school at night. So I traveled 4 nights a week, 180 miles a day for 3.5 years. And the program is actually supposed to be 4 years when you do it part-time. But I went to summer school. I went to what's called intercession, meaning classes between classes. Like you get a week off. Yeah. I didn't. I went the whole week and got another credit or two for a class and just went straight through. And I did it on purpose for that, because I felt that if I slowed down, I would be like, some people get excuses and quit or, take longer. So I thought, I just got to keep going forward. Got to keep going forward.
Yeah.
And it was one class at a time. Got to pass each class. So, I mean, I'm not I'm not a book smart person, but I'm not the kind of person that went to school and got straight A's. That wasn't me. Yeah. But I'm a person who was very determined. So to me, it was class by class. Never failed a class or anything. I even got a couple of A's, which is real tough in law school because they have what's called a curve. And in my law school, the bottom 20% of the class was automatically failed.
Right.
So then they curve it. So your grade gets usually pushed down in many cases. But anyway, the point was I listened to podcasts on the way to law school, meaning I was listening to lectures, whether it was the classroom that it was recorded or outside material to learn about contracts or real estate on the way there. When I got out of class, which was usually about 8 o'clock, I went to the library and then I stayed there till usually 10 o'clock. And then I would drive home an hour and 15 minutes, the 90-mile drive, go home. Wife was usually asleep by then, went to work at 8 o'clock the next morning and started the routine. And it was brutal. I have to say it was brutal. And people would say, how the heck do you do it? And I go, if you really want something, you got to just go after it. And don't look back. Keep going forward. Keep going forward. And it sounds, I don't know if it sounds simple or hard, but the reality is that simple thing of just keep going forward. Just keep going forward. Next class, next class. And I built an Excel spreadsheet of all the classes I needed to take, how many credits there were I needed to graduate with. So I knew how close I was getting to graduation.
Definitely.
And then once you graduate, okay, that's wonderful. But then you still got to pass the bar, which to me was the most brutal test I ever took, ever, right? And I was lucky enough to pass it the first time around. So what I'll tell your readers or listeners is, if you really want something, just do the research. And once you start, there's an old Chinese proverb, the journey starts with the first step. And that's very true here. Once you start, just keep on going and don't let anybody tell you it can't be done.
Listen, that is an astounding story. I'm inspired. I got chills over here listening to it because I am always one to tell people to keep pushing. Do not stop. Please, if you have a goal in mind, go and get it, no matter what it takes. And I hear the sacrifice. You know, Mrs. Vega, I'm sitting here saying to myself, I wonder how she, you dealt with this. You know what I mean? I run a household myself.
I was the one that sacrificed as well, because I became a single spouse while he went to school. I became the taskmaster of the home and the business and everything else. So he could every weekend was I have to study. Every holiday was I have to study. And that's all I heard for 4 years until he got through everything was I have to study. But it was in the end that was his goal, and he succeeded. And I laughed because he talks about the bar exam, and I actually went with him because they did it off site. And I watched these poor people come in from this exam that was 2 days long. But these guys looked like they'd been in a bar fight, men and women. They were just totally, their hair was a mess. Their clothes were disheveled, and they just looked like they'd been beat up. But that what it took to pass.
And that's awesome. Always say
that. She was great. I mean, she put the garbage out. She did everything. Listen. I sat on the couch, gained 20 pounds under the light there.
No doubt.
And just studied on the weekends.
That's awesome. If you don't have a partner to support you, I mean, what are you doing, man? It's. I mean, that's not just marriage. Yeah, everybody says that's just marriage. No, but it's like it's. That is way more than just marriage. I mean, for 4 years, you're sacrificing time out of your life and time that you've committed, to reach your goal. I'm sure as a family, you guys felt like thank God, thank God that we did it, and it was worth everything that we did and the sacrifices we made. And that's, I wanted to highlight that because I'm so big on people reaching their goals and people going after what it is they want in their life. And I think that just your story and definitely Mrs. Vega, your support in that aspect of it is key. It's a star, as I always say. You put a star next to it because it's how you guys continue to do what you do today. You know what I mean? And like, I just have to say thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you for doing what you're doing, and how you just completely push through it. I mean, people don't know how hard the bar is. People don't know how hard the LSATs are, first of all, but people don't know how hard the bar is, and people don't know how hard these things are. People just think people are lawyers and that's just what they do, and it's like, no, there's so much that goes into becoming a lawyer. So I definitely thank you for sharing that story with us. Ty, go ahead, man. I know you got a question, bro. Go ahead, man.
Mr. Vega, the Bar Association. Now, is that an acronym?
Well, it's called the Florida Bar Association. Is the association for the attorneys, and then they have another division that handles all the exams for each state. So New York has a bar exam part, so you have to apply to take the test, but you have to have the doctorate, the Juris Doctorate from law school, from an accredited law school, to be able to take the test. And you have to prove that. You have to have a background check done on you, which is quite extensive. They fingerprint you. I tell you, I had so much more admiration for attorneys after I went through this. I had no idea.
I'm sure.
It was just something I wanted to do. And then when I got into it, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then what I will tell you, though, is I had great professors who were happy to help, which is a big deal. Yeah. Other students, we worked together and helped each other out, even though when they curve things, there's some people that don't want to help you because they don't want to be on the bottom 20%, right?
Yeah.
But, you can't do it alone. And I give a lot of credit to my wife, who really took a big sacrifice for so many different things. And that's truly the definition of a partnership. She's been great. And we have a lot of fun with the simple self-defense for women. But the law part, I give her a lot of credit. She really was a super wife.
Definitely.
And you have a background in martial arts as well, correct?
My background, I'm a 5th degree master instructor for what's called combat hapkido, and I have a 1st degree black belt in taekwondo.
Wow. Are you an MMA fan?
I like to watch it once in a while, but I'm not a big fan about it.
I understand. I definitely understand.
I really love the hapkido part of it because that's joint manipulation, and you don't need a lot of strength. It's all about technique, and I don't know. I watch that more than anything. Just to always see something, and no matter how long you've been doing it, you go, you know what? That's a good tweak. I'd like to try that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, the TV shows. The two of you have been on tons of them here. I've counted probably about 20. I probably missed a few. Is there a particular?
Oh yeah, we've been on numerous.
Yeah. Is there a particular network or TV show that you would like to appear on?
Yeah.
We always wanted to be on Good Morning America and didn't get there. I mean, we went on a lot of shows in New York. We worked with Joan London. We worked with Ricky Lake. We've been on several ABC, NBC. We've hit all the affiliates. We've been on all 4 of the major networks, but we never did get on Good Morning America. And we really felt like it was a big deal because we wanted to pay it forward when you see these stories that go national and think, because victims are never wrong. They're never the cause of what happened. And you look at this and just think, gosh, if people just knew, could this have made a difference? And we've studied so many very high profile cases nationally to look back at the one particular thing that, J.C. Lee Dugard and Elizabeth Smart, and how some of these people were abducted and thought, if they just knew this. So we thought, getting in front of that one audience where we could have the biggest impact at one time, that was our goal.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'll say it's really two-phase in that. One is the media gives exposure so people can pick up a tip or two. And obviously, if you can pay it forward, that's great. The second thing is we have a lot of corporate sponsors who hire us to come out for their staff, for the teachers, for students. Colleges hire us. Companies hire us to do it for their customers or their own people. I won't mention names.
We went to an oil refinery.
Yeah, we had one. I'm serious.
We went to an oil refinery out in LA, and I don't remember the name of the refinery. It's been a bit, but they were a 24-hour, 7-day week, and they had females on staff out at this oil refinery, and they wanted us to come out. We went out to a Caterpillar. The land diggers, the movers, the Caterpillar equipment, heavy equipment people. Yeah, we went out to Las Vegas to a heavy equipment because they had family members that they wanted to bring in, and they had spouses that were working. And I mean, and the companies that bring us in sometimes seem unusual, but they're forward thinkers, and they're using it as benefits for their employees, not just their employees, but employees and spouses.
Yes.
Yeah, it was actually Phillips 66 that hired us.
Okay. Definitely. The oil company. Yes, definitely. Yeah. Big. That's a big firm. That's not a small firm.
So what I'm saying though is to get the word out, it takes both. It takes media like yourself, and it takes companies to say, I'm willing to invest in my employees, in my staff, in my students, or the local community. Because many companies hire us and then invite the local community to their location, and we have the workshop at their location. That's how the program works. Yeah. They hire us, they promote it locally as being community minded, and then the community comes in and they might talk for 2 or 3 minutes, and then they hand it over to us and we do the rest.
That's awesome, man. That's That's awesome. I mean, how long you guys been doing it for?
10 years, Trace?
Going on almost 12 years now.
12
That's
years,
a
okay.
long time.
She's better at dates than I am.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes our wives are a little bit better at numbers than we are sometimes. But that is awesome. Like 12 years, that's a long time to start something and keep it going for this long. I guess it's the same principles that you have for getting your law degree. You know, put one foot forward into the next and just keep going. And like you said, like it's important to have these outlets and these sponsorships and these companies, these organizations, but you guys specialize in certain aspects of life that everybody needs. So, I mean, it's definitely a needed thing. And I definitely appreciate your pay it forward philosophy, because a lot of people don't even understand the pay it forward philosophy. Me and Ty always talking about that's what we want to do. People that we invite on, we're never like, hey, give us money for it. We're just like, come on, share your story. Let's talk about it, because, you know, you never know what kind of impact you're going to make, you know, whatever you're doing. So I really appreciate that from you guys. Like that's what I would say is dope. It's cool. It's what it is, man. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Miss Tracy, I have a question for you. Can you share with me a little bit about your blog, Opiates Not by Choice? Can you talk to me about a little bit about that? I read that probably about 3 hours ago, and I was really taken back by it, because I was kind of like, I didn't know exactly. I was like, is this her? Who is she talking about? Like, what is? Can you share with me a little bit about that?
It is based very closely on our family. So it is a story that's very close to home, and to me, it's a very unfortunate story that still doesn't have an ending to it. But as you saw in there, the three different women that had three different directions, and they are all very closely based on characters that are with us. But you know, you look at the TV and you watch so much stuff on opioids, and people, a lot of time, if you ask them what an opioid is, they don't know. No, they don't understand. And people are like, well, I don't have anybody in my family who's using drugs. They're not using anything. They're on prescription medication. And I'm a big Elvis fan. And I look back at now knowing all the drugs that he was taking, and basically there was an opioid addiction for Elvis back in 1977. Yeah. You know, so the drugs in general, basically what I was getting at there is there are people who could be brought into a bad situation and make good choices and go and make a very smart choice and go the right direction. Yeah. People who have a choice and go completely the opposite direction and take unknowing people with them. Yeah. Which is where we're at. And then you have people in the middle. And in that particular case, the people in the middle are going both directions. And that story also involved domestic violence, but the domestic violence was towards a gentleman, not towards a woman. So
hold on, wait a second. You're talking about something that people don't really talk about. You think about domestic violence, you always think about women. Yeah. You don't necessarily think about men, you think about women. Me and Ty always talk about how there's a battered man syndrome or a battered man thing that goes on and people don't talk about. So go ahead and continue. I'm sorry.
It's actually, you know, and that's, again, with the company, Simple Self-Defense for Women. We built it for women. And then, as I explained, we built into the LGBTQ and older people and so on. And in doing the stories and interviewing people, and again, based on personal experience, men are victims of domestic violence. But domestic violence isn't just physical, it's emotional. And again, this goes both ways, male and female, or same sex. It's not just physical, it's emotional, it's monetary, it's mental, it's verbal, and men don't necessarily talk about it. And people will go, suck it up, dude, you know, you're a guy, get over it, whatever. It happens, it's out there, and people don't believe it. They're like, well, you know, take control, fight back. You can't, you know, just like with any situation, if you know, the first time somebody strikes you and you strike them back, okay, you've stopped the situation. You can't hit somebody in domestic violence. You can't go back at people. So we're teaching people how to escape, how to avoid, how to prevent. And I did do another blog on a go bag for safety. So domestic violence does go both ways. And again, same sex, and people have to be aware, and men should not be afraid to speak up because it's out there and they are victims, and people don't realize it. And I don't want to offend women, or because women are truly also the victims. And especially right now with COVID going on, people are cooped up in the house. Yeah. There's a lot of emotions. And as winter comes along, as we come out of summer and start to go into the holidays, it's going to happen again. And people need to know what's going on in their life. The opioids, the domestic violence, all these situations, people need to understand what's happening in their home and in their life and with people near and dear to them.
Miss Tracy, I'm very, I'm ecstatic that you said what you said, because me and Ty always talk about this off air, offline, about how men. Did we not have this conversation last week?
Talk about it.
Did we not just talk about this? About how men are often just viewed in the sense of, like you said, suck it up. Like, come on, dude, get yourself together. Like, you're not being abused. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
To hear it from a woman's perspective, I know you're very astute and you understand a lot about what goes on, just from interviews and things like that. But just to hear you say it, do I ever appreciate it? It melts me, because I'm like, I've been trying to tell people this for a long time, and people just like, no, only happens to women. It just seems like a women's thing, but it happens to men. Both
of those blogs you mentioned, you read the opioid and the other one. Both of those blogs are on our website, and I think are on our LinkedIn. That if people haven't read it, they should. Yes, you should. You should check out Miss TracyVega's LinkedIn. You can check out that blog. You should read that blog. That blog is very profound. You will very much, I'm not gonna say enjoy, but it'll be an eye opener for you to realize that there's so much going on with people that we're not talking about. There's so much going on with people that people don't want to share. And I'm just glad that you did, Miss Vega. You talked about what aspects are often being missed and what things are not being touched. So, I appreciate that. People think if they don't talk about it, it's not real. Right. And that's the truth. And to be honest with you, it's more real than what we realize. And, we as men a lot of times bottle stuff up because we're taught in society often not to talk about it. We're taught in society to like be men, whatever that means. But it's always, don't share your emotions, don't share how you feel. But a lot of us are screaming inside. A lot of us are. So I definitely want my male listeners to know that we're here. We're here. We got you. We understand that some of us are going through this, and some of us are battling through it every day. So, and not just my men, my women, like you said, same sex, everybody. Like this is an ongoing society issue. This is not an issue just for gender. This is about us as people in society. So, again, Ms. Vega, I greatly appreciate it. Listen, on that note, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk some more to Charles and Tracy of the Simple Self Defense for Women registered trademark. I thank y'all for being here tonight. I'm just so happy that you guys are sharing what you're sharing. But we're gonna take a quick break. Remember, family, you can call us with your comments, questions at 844-844-1244. Again, that's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. It's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. You listen to the Jimmy Bonds podcast on Illadelphia Radio. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Michael from Abu Dhabi. Listen to Jimmy Bonds podcast on Illadelphia Radio.
Welcome back to the Jimmy Bonds podcast on Illadelphia Radio. We thank you for listening. Remember, family, you can call us at 844-844-1244. Again, that's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. That's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. And welcome back to Jimmy Bonds podcast on Illadelphia Radio. Remember, family, you can call us with your comments or questions at 844-844-1244. Again, that's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. That's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. And family, again, we are continuing our series here where we support businesses. And tonight we are actually with, again, the Simple Self Defense for Women registered trademark with no other than Tracy and Charles Vega. They are giving us their insight, their wisdom, their research knowledge about self-defense and defending yourself out here. And they're also dropping some other jewels that definitely need to be heard. Family, we go back, you listen to that, you take a listen. But right, kicking right off, I want to make sure that you know where to go find Tracy and Charles's information for the Simple Self Defense for Women registered trademark. Make sure you go find this information. Charles, where can people find this information at?
It's still on our website, has everything, the videos. It's Simple Self Defense for FOR Women plural.com. So Simple Self Defense for Women.com. They go there. They could see about us. There's videos on there that they could see for tips. And if they'd like to book a workshop, there's a way that they can contact us through the website. And if they have questions, they can email us. There's a lot of information there about us and how to contact us and tips. And there's no charge on any of that. If they did want to buy a DVD of our program that talks about it, the DVD on it, it's $20 and it gets shipped out to them. But any questions they have, they're welcome to go to the website. Again, it's simpleselfdefenseofwomen.com.
I was just about to say, please say it again, so make sure we got it in there. Oh, that's fantastic. Fantastic. Now listen, Charles, you were talking about some tips you wanted to give, and one was about, being in a parking lot. Often that's where a lot of assaults happen. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a place where most people have an apprehension, and there's a reason, because people do get attacked in parking lots. So the one thing that's important to remember, as you said earlier, and we've discussed, was knowing your surroundings. So let's say you walk out of a retail store and you're walking out and you know how cars are parked in parking lots. The first thing you should do before you step off that curb is look around and look at it as a landscape and say, is something out of place? Is there somebody standing there because they're waiting for somebody? Or are they standing there because they're looking for a victim, right? One of the things we talk a lot about at our workshops is your instincts, particularly women, have great instincts, but sometimes they're just too nice. So what I say is trust your instincts. If it doesn't feel right, you're probably right. Go back inside, talk to a security guard, ask them to escort you to your car. Yeah. If there's somebody out there, notify somebody in the store to say, look, maybe you ought to call 911, check this person out. We come from a
and know that it's okay
family.
To be rude.
Yes, and it's okay to be rude. You don't have to talk to that person that's standing out there that wants to ask you a question to take you off guard. But one of the things that I want to mention that's really important is any officer, any police department across this country would say, please call us. Even if you don't think it's anything, but you think it might be, call us. We'd rather check it out than have a problem occur. Yeah. So if it doesn't feel right, pick up your phone and call 911. Hey, I'm outside the supermarket here. I don't feel comfortable. This person is harassing people, or can you come check it out? They will. And if you're not comfortable, don't walk towards your car. If there's somebody standing by your car you don't think is right, don't go there. Yeah. You can be rude. If someone comes up to you, excuse me, hey, you don't have to talk to them. You don't have to be nice. No. It's better to be rude and then later say, I'm sorry, than to be attacked and have a lifelong fear of being attacked again, right?
Yeah, it's true. It stays with you for a while. That's a traumatic thing. It stays with you for a long time. So, I mean, if God willing, you live through it. A lot of people have that type of trauma that they deal with for a long time when it comes to, those type of things. So, yeah, Charles, I greatly appreciate you sharing that with us.
Well, I'm going to say one more thing, Jimmy, that's really important. Police will always tell you that you have to do something when it happens, meaning that if somebody says they point a gun at you or point a knife at you and say, get in the car or I'm going to kill you, the solution, your response is you do something, run away, fight, get away. Because I always tell our workshop viewers, they're not taking you to get ice cream. They're taking you someplace that they could do something very bad to you that they don't want other people to see. Yeah. Police call that the secondary crime scene. So if that should happen to you, our advice is do something about it versus ever getting into a car. So one of the rules we say is never, ever get into a car for anybody for any reason.
There you go. There you go, family. Charles just gave us all the tips. Make sure you're aware of your surroundings. Make sure if you see something suspicious that you report it. You call the police. Definitely get an escort if you need it. I mean, these are just, they seem simple, but a lot of times we're in a situation we often don't think logically. We think the other way around. So yeah, Charles, I greatly appreciate you sharing that with us. Todd, did you have a question? Did you have something you want to say?
My last one is your PBS TV show. Can you talk to us about that?
Oh, yes. Please talk to us about that.
So the TV show basically covers our program that talks about how to avoid and how to escape. I will tell you something interesting is Tracy talked about the original instruction video that we started that was very, I'll call it rough because it wasn't fun. It was very traditional martial arts. It wasn't geared towards women. And we had asked PBS if we could use their studio over a weekend for one of the scenes we needed to record inside or film inside, and they agreed to it. We used some of the techniques that we use for the women today, but they called me into the office and they said, Mr. Vega, can we talk to you? And I'm thinking, oh man, what did we do? We broke a light or something? You know, I thought something was wrong, right?
Yeah.
Well, they pull me in the office and they go, Mr. Vega, you know, we've been watching your program and we really think you have something here no one else is doing. We'd like to offer you a television show. What do you think?
Wow.
That's how our television show got started.
Listen, right place, right time, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That is awesome. PBS,
Yeah, it was fun because then he started with the pinks and the purples and the female. And when I started designing the TV set, he's like, this doesn't look like a martial arts studio. I'm like, exactly.
Yeah, I fought it for a while, but she was spot on. It worked.
women going past are not going to look at that. But when they see that really cool rug, they're going to be like, ooh, look at that. I wonder what they're talking about. And to this day, one of the pictures that we had on our set is still on the background of the current PBS station they use. They picked one when I designed the set. I picked this wooden picture out that's very cool. They still use it on their set now.
See, Charles, they know the wives normally know more about that kind of stuff than we do, right?
Oh, absolutely.
They normally know more. Sometimes we just got to shut up and be like, okay, you got it. I got you. All righty. I know you're right.
True.
I'm gonna be quiet now. I'm just, what else you need me to do? Like, that's awesome. That is awesome. But, you know, like you guys have done so much, you know, within your 12 years starting a program, starting an organization. It's a Simple Self-Defense for Women, registered trademark family. Remember, please go check out their website. Go check out their LinkedIn. Go check out their videos. Make sure you pay it forward. Pay your $20, please, and get a DVD. It's going to a great cause. It's going to teach people about how to defend themselves. And it's not just about women, it's about everybody. So I definitely think that everybody needs to make sure that you support this cause, get behind it. They'll probably be at your next workplace event or your next workplace workshop. I'm pretty sure that when COVID is over, probably your phones will be jumping off the hook. It's really good to see a husband and wife do such a positive thing in the community, and really have a community based. And, you know, I'm really happy for you. I know that, you know, you guys are definitely going to keep pushing and keep going. So, Ms. Tracy, before you go, you know, I know we've talked a lot about a whole bunch of other things. Where do you guys see the organization in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, you know what? We love what we're doing. We hope to keep doing it and reaching out to more people and delivering the message. You know, unfortunately, things are not going to get a whole lot better as a society, I don't think. So the more people we can educate and the more fun we can have doing it and teaching people, I think that's where we're going to keep going. Because as long as we can do the blogs and do the podcasts and do the TV shows and share the information, that's what we're going to do.
We greatly appreciate it.
We're on Facebook too. People can jump over there if they want to ask us a question or check it out.
Yeah, no. So go ahead and plug all your social media so everybody can find out, because a lot of people use social media more than they even go to websites. Go ahead and plug you guys' social media.
Yeah, we're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Twitter. Facebook primarily. So it's under simpleselfdefenseforwomen.com. They can find us there. I usually post the blogs and updates. And if we're going to be someplace live, we always publish it and put it out there in papers and make sure people know where we're going to be, just like your podcast, and so people can go back and listen and follow up.
Well, that sounds great. That's exactly what we want to do. That's what we want to hear. Family, remember, Simple Self-Defense for Women, registered trademark. Please make sure you go check out their information, check out their videos. They are just making impacts in the community. You know, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to hold nobody up, but nobody's get ready for the next day. But this has been more than what I expected. I'm really happy you guys came on tonight. I'm really happy you shared the information you shared. You shared a bit of your story together, your story apart, what you guys have done. Ladies and gentlemen, there's Sonny and Cher of Self Defense. I'm going to say it again. There's Sonny and Cher of Self Defense. They are doing a great thing for the community. And I greatly appreciate you guys coming on Jimmy Bond's podcast and Illadelphia Radio. Did you want to say anything to anybody before you go?
Jim, you asked us about ATM Safety.
Yo, we forgot about that. Thank you for listen. You plugged that right in. Go ahead, give us some tips about ATM
Tracy,
Safety.
She's got the tips.
Yeah, one of the biggest things that people don't realize is how small pepper spray is that can fit in your hand. So when you're going to an ATM, obviously you want to try to go during the day and you want to go towards a well-lit one. Mm-hmm. You can keep the pepper spray in your hand as you're punching in your numbers. You'll know that the pepper spray is right there. So you can, if you're doing a walk-up one, It's in your hand. If you're going to a drive-through ATM, my suggestion, as crazy as this sounds, is always leave your car in gear. Because if somebody approaches you, you want to be able to drive off. You also want to check to make sure that there's nothing on the ATM machine that's going to, try to scan your card. So just kind of check it out before you put it in.
Definitely.
Take your receipt, look around, make sure your doors are locked when you're at the ATM or when you're getting out to go to the ATM.
Definitely.
And you have to realize as you're walking away, just as you're walking away from a store, if somebody's approaching you and it looks like an attack, you have to look at them and wonder, are they after the money that I just took out? Are they after me? And if you know it's a direct attack towards you, throw the most reasonable thing, your purse, your wallet, the other direction, and hopefully they'll go that direction and leave you alone.
Well, but there you have it, family. There you have it. Great tips, great information, great things to have. I mean, most of us should carry pepper spray, out here in the world that we live in, unfortunately. But, that's very important to have. Listen, man, you guys have given us so much information about self-defense. Obviously, you know exactly what you're talking about. Ms. Tracy, were you ever in the police department?
I was not in the police department, but we are actually from a police family. My side of the family, Charlie's side of the family, relatives are in the police department, and a lot of people we work with. So, no, not directly.
Not directly, but indirectly.
Yes, indirectly we have,
yeah, indirectly you have, like, because I'm sitting here listening, like, she sounds like she's been sitting in an academy somewhere and she knows some things about but that's
I just like what we do. I really like what we do, and I go to a lot of the police departments to get the knowledge. Some of the stories I write that are just flat out from the heart, and other stories, I have to be researched before I put the information out there.
Of course.
So I do work with the law enforcement when I get the information.
Of course.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the chiefs or the sheriffs provide us a lot of good insight on their organization and things they're working on that we pass on to our listeners and readers and so forth. But I have to tell you something funny, Jimmy. You're talking about Tracy. When we do the workshops, I'm the victim, right? So sometimes I have to tell her, "Hey, babe, take a little easy here,
Don't hurt me on this.
They love it, though.
You said they love it, Miss Tracy. They love it.
Yeah, they love it. They love it. He becomes the victim, and he becomes the the instant heartthrob there. So everybody's like, "Oh, the poor guy." I'm like, "Oh yeah, the poor thing."
When she throws me on the floor or whatever, everybody hears and they're just like, "Oh!" and she's smiling.
I do this all the time. That is awesome. Ty, you want to say something before they leave, man? Would you say, Ty?
It's been a pleasure listening to the two of you. I've learned some things, and just keep doing the work that you're doing. It's great.
And thanks for having us on, guys. We really appreciate it. Thanks for spreading the word.
Now, listen, thank you guys for coming. I'm greatly appreciative of it. The radio station is greatly appreciative of it. But I know we're gonna let you guys go. Enjoy your evening. Remember, family, you can call us with your comments and questions at 844-844-1244. Again, that's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, it's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. That's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. Again, family, that is Simple Self-Defense for Women, registered trademark, simplesselfdefenseforwomen.com. Make sure you go check them out. And also, family, remember, please wear your mask, wash your hands, practice social distancing. If you're vaccinated, you're not vaccinated, it doesn't matter. I'm not going to hold it against you. Just go ahead and please to be safe out there. Make sure you kiss your family, love your loved ones, tell your friends you love them, because you never know when you might get another chance. Until the next episode, you can find me on Good Hope Road, screaming, "Stay up, don't sleep in your dreams." I'm Jimmy Bonds, and I'm out. Peace. Fam, that's going to wrap the show. We want to thank you for listening to Jimmy Bonds Podcast on Illadelphia Radio. We ask you leave your comments and questions at 844-844-1244. Again, that's 844-844-1244. You can also email us at jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. Again, that's jimmybondspodcast@gmail.com. That's JIMMYBONDS podcast@gmail.com. Now remember, family, we are still in the COVID-19 pandemic, so please remember to wash your hands, wear a mask, and practice social distancing. Also, remember to take nothing for granted and value every opportunity you have with your friends, your family, and your loved ones. For in these times, every moment is sacred. So until the next episode, you can find me on Good Hope Road, screaming, "Stay up, don't sleep in your dreams." I'm Jimmy Bonds, and I'm out. Fight on, come on.